Hello, good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back, guys. Today we would officially begin the lesson one of the swing range theory course, right? So if you are new to this channel, let me just do a brief intro of what we are about to do, right? So this entire series is designed to take you from the very basic of market structures all the way into the advanced version of the model I personally discovered through years of studying price action, backtesting, and watching the chart in real time. So whether you are a complete beginner or you are an experienced trader, this course is going to give you a level of clarity and consistency in trading structures that most traders never achieve. So before we get into the swing range theory itself, we need to start with something very fundamental, which is market structures. Okay, so which is market structures, what it is, how it has been traditionally taught, and more importantly, why it often confuses traders. So let's begin. All right. Now, starting from the beginning, what is market structures? And in just a simpler term, I would say market structures is simply the natural pattern of swings the market create as it moves, right? So in other words, we can say market structures is the way that price moves. So like price pushes up, pulls back, pushes up again, or like in the inverse direction, it can push down, pulls back, that is like what we call a retracement, and then it can push back down again. So now this movement create what we call let me check to make sure that it's recording. All right, it is. So this movement creates what we call the highs and the lows of the market, like higher highs. So when we have this high, then the next high is a higher high, and it also creates what we call a lower low, something like this. All right, so a lower low. So and then so price creates so in the market structures, price creates a lower lows and lower highs, and on the opposite, that is the bullish direction, price creates a higher highs and higher lows. All right, so this is the basic of market structure. So so once again, let me recap what I've just said in the first few minutes, right? That in a bullish structures, that is in an uptrend, in a bull trend, however you want to call it, it's okay. So that price forms what we call a higher high and higher low, right? This is a higher low, and then this is a higher high, right? Then in a bearish structures, price forms what we call, let's assume this is a low, right? So price forms what we call a lower high, and then a lower low. So that is just the basics of market structures. That is the foundation. So, every push creates a swing high, and every pullback, creates a swing low, and all of those. So these are just the foundation, right? Now, every trader understands these, at least on paper. Every trader right now understands this part, because whether you are trading SMC, you are trading Elliott wave, you are trading Fibonacci, you are trading ICD, you are trading whatever you are trading, like, this is the basics that every trader knows, right? So now, over time, educators started adding more labels and definitions to these structures. And I believe you've probably heard BOS, like breakup structures. So you've probably heard BOS. You've probably had CHoCH. You've probably had MSM. You've probably had DRK, MKS. You just different names. So, then I believe you probably also heard internal versus external structure. External structure. So in theory, all of this concept makes a lot of sense, right? UOS for breakup structures, CHoCH for change of characters. Then you have MSM and the rest, right? So ICT traders are familiar with MSM and whatnot. All right. So now and then there is also internal versus external structures where you hear traders who they will say this is an internal, this is external. They will say this is external from here to here, then from here to here it's internal, and this is internal, and the labeling, like, and they just label it and all of those, right? Now, okay, so in the real sense of the chart, in theory, a BOS is supposed to show, when a trend is continuing, and then a change of character like CHoCH is supposed to show when a reversal is about to occur. But there is a problem, and it's a big one. Almost every trader defines these things differently, right? Some traders use this wick for BOS, some weights for body close. Some say internal structure scanned, some says it doesn't. Some use tiny micro swings, other uses major swings, and this is where a whole bunch of confusion starts. Now, let me show you where everything begins to fall apart. On a textbook, on a clean textbook chart, structures looks perfect. Like, everybody would be making money. You can see the higher highs, the higher lows, everything is so obvious. And then, but on a real chart, especially the lower time frame, structures become so messy. Like, suddenly you have multiple tiny swings, random internal pullback, fake breaks, weak sweeps, impulsive, spikes, overlapping highs and lows. And then the question becomes, which one is real, which one defines the trend, which one tells you direction. And this is exactly where traders start disagreeing. Two traders can look at the same chart and mark completely different structures. And now let me give you a simple test right now. I'm gonna give you a simple test right now. I'm gonna give you a simple test right now. So look at this chart. Where is the structure? Where is the breakup structures? I know some of you will mark here. This is the breakup structures, right? Let me change this color. So some of you will mark here. So, and others will mark here, and others will mark here, and others will mark here. And for others, right, their structure. So their structure is until it breaks here. That is when they would see that there is a break of structures, right? So they look at the trend, they say, okay, we have this leg, and then there is a pullback, and then we have this leg. So as far as they are concerned, the market structures is still very bullish, right? The confusion, now we all have different views. Okay, now another tourist. Let me ask you guys, where is the shock, right? The change of character. I know for shock now, many of us are going to point at its first break. We are going to say this is the shock. And then others will say, okay, I have to wait for the next one to confirm the shock. And guess what? All of these answers are technically correct, depending on who you are learning from, or depending on who you learn from. And this here is the problem. I believe that the structures of the market should not be subjective. And if we all have different answers, I understand the fact that we are different traders, and just as humans, we see things differently, and that is never going to change, right? And as amazing as this is, a uniqueness, somehow it's still like a curse in this market, where especially when it comes to reading structures, when it comes to reading the market, right? So, and if things are this way, you can't build consistent trading decisions on something that changes from trader to trader. So let me talk about why structures becomes so confusing. The first reason, the number one reason, is subjectivity. So there is no universal rule for what counts as a valid structure, like a valid swing. And the second reason is educators' inconsistency. So where you have different people issue structures differently, so you end up mixing rules even without realizing it, right? And then number three, we have lower time frame noise. So let me take this chart to okay, unfortunately no enough data to, I wanted taking it to the 5 minutes time frame. So sorry, the 5 seconds time frame. Okay, oh, this is 2019, so this is as way back as so we can only, I think we can only do 1 minute here. So let me just put 1 minute. So on lower time frame, structures become so noisy. So you can see like just broke, and then okay, so here now we have a low, then we have a high, we have a low, we have a high, we have a low, then is high, and then we have a break, right? Then all of a sudden we have is, so there is a whole lot of noise when you switch to a lower time frame. And then the fourth reasons, the fourth reason is fear and emotional reaction, where traders just see a small break and then they're like, oh, I don't want to miss out, the structure has just broken. So like here somebody is gonna see these and see, oh, these structures is about to break or it just got broken, and then it chops them off, right? So, and then number 5, which is the biggest reason in my opinion, is void of clarity of invalidation point. There is no clear invalidation point where we can say this is where the structures invalidates and all of those. So like right now, some of us can say my market structures, I use double break, like once upon a time I used to trade where I use like double break. So like I would want price to do something like this, and then so if it can break this first break and this second break, and then I agree that the structures has broken. So like in this case, double break here and here, structure has broken, and all of those. So and then in this case, so now based on that, are we following the lecture so far, guys? Please follow closely. I guarantee you it won't be a waste of your time. So the price has just taken out these structures. So we have a bullish break and another bullish break. So if it goes by that, I'm now bullish, and then price goes down. So you see that there is no clear point where I can say this is where my structures invalidate, and then I'm going to change my direction, right? So if you don't know what invalidates your trend, you will constantly switch buyers. You will get faked out. You will never build consistency that way, right? So now, let me share with you something from my own experience. I spent years studying structures, not just casually. Like I went deep into structures. I watched almost every video I could find, took courses, like I read articles, I studied books, and spent countless hours marking the charts, and then making whatever I could out of the information that I got. So I mastered the traditional model, both the basics and the advanced. Like I was so good at structures, but no matter how much I learned, one thing always bothered me, and it's the fact that why do traders read structures differently? Why is there no universal standard? Why does market, structures look so obvious in hindsight, but chaotic in real time? Why is something so foundational, but so inconsistent? And these questions stayed with me, and they pushed me into deeper observation. Then one day, after years and years and years of studying price action, remember, I've been trading for over a decade now. I started trading the foreign exchange market. Then it was binary option with ERIV. ERIV used to be called bet on market then. So bet on market, and that was the name. So bet on market then from I'm trying to remember the first name. Those of us who trades indices with ERIV, we would remember. Okay, first of all, it was called Regent Market, then from Regent Market to bet on market, and then from bet on market to binary.com, and then to ERIV. So those of us who trade synthetic indices, you will know and understand what I'm talking about. So I've been trading for a while, guys. So I'm not just some new guy who started trading in 221 or 222, trying to give you advice on this. And by the way, I respect those who started trading, even if you started trading yesterday, right? So please have nothing against when you started trading. All I'm just trying to let you know is that I've been in this industry for over a decade, that if I'm to in medical sciences, I think I could be a surgeon by now. I could be a specialist, right? So now, after years of studying price action, and then all of a sudden I had an epiphany, or epiphany, like some will say. So like it was an aha moment where everything clicked. I suddenly realized that the problem was not the market. The market is consistent. The market is logical. The market behaves the same way every day. It just in different variations. The problem was the way I was defining structures, the way we were taught. And hold on, guys. So the problem was the way we were taught. The way there was no objective definition of structures, no objective definition for invalidation, no universal rule that two traders could look at the structures and agree on it. And then this realization changed everything for me. So from that point, I started observing the market differently. I studied how price behaves around swings and lows. I watched how structures, shifts in real time. I tested different rules for invalidation. I compared, hundreds and hundreds of, charts and examples, and slowly a pattern began to form. A structural behavior that was consistent across every market, every time frame, and that pattern, this epiphany, right? This epiphany is what eventually became swing range theory. So I believe this is the first time you are hearing about it, swing range theory. Not something I read, I studied from any video, not something I was taught, not something I copied from Twitter, Instagram, or any YouTube video. So, in other words, I found this, right? Now, so And swing range theory so became a method of reading structures that eliminated, like, almost all the subjectivity, and a model where two traders could look at the trend and agree on direction almost the same way. And then I wanted to know how consistent this is, and then I decided to try it out with my students. And then I asked my student, okay, from what I've taught so far, look at GBP, JPY, and Mark. I want us to do a whole 1 month of price action, and he did his own. And then it was 95% same with mine, without any coordination. And that is when I knew this wasn't just another idea. It's something real. It's something repeatable. It's something powerful. So in the lesson 2, I don't want to keep this too long. So in the lesson 2, we are going to be introduced to swing range theory itself. So where we are going to learn what a true swing actually is, how to define a valid structure, how to identify objective invalidation, how to stay consistent on the right side of the trend, and the rules that, and that one rule that changed everything for me. And this is where confusion ends and clarity begins, right? So in wrapping up this lesson 1, you will agree with me that the way you have read market structure so far, I believe you are watching this video, you have watched to this point, because even yourself, you need an answer. Right? So I appreciate you for watching this video to this point, and trust me, lesson 2 is going to be a nice opener, right? And lesson 2 is going to answer so many of your questions, and it would be the beginning of a life transforming journey, right? So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and thanks for watching it all the way through, and for joining me to lay this important foundation. Please don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment under this video. Comment your experience with market structures, your confusion, your questions, and all right. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel